So, all around terrible person and just despicable human being, Scott Pruitt is now the head of the EPA. Now, why would I be against the head of the Environmental Protection Agency, you might ask, if you haven't been paying attention to the news? Well, maybe it's because the same guy who is now the leader of it tried to sue him 14 times. 14. He's publicly stated that the EPA shouldn't exist. Scott Pruitt is funded by nothing but energy. Maybe I might be missing a few donors that aren't directly fossil fuel, but ExxonMobil, the Koch brothers, ALEC. Even though ALEC isn't a fossil fuel industry, it's the American Legislative Exchange Council. They craft legislation that is pro everything Republicans want. They just draft it up, and that's why they're able to implement all these sweeping bills like the transgender bathroom bill, or let's see, goddamn, what else? Just about anything. They've loosened voter ID laws, combat illegal immigration, say corporate taxes are too high. They oppose labor unions. They've done the tough on crime legislation and the 3 strikes policy. That was all ALEC. So people are still in jail right now because they got caught with drugs 3 times. They might be a nonviolent offender. And they're never going to get out because of this organization. So getting back to the fossil fuels and the EPA, ALEC is for reducing regulation. They're pro-fracking. They're pro-loosening environmental regulations. Guys, this is one of the biggest threats to our safety. Republicans always like to talk about how dangerous ISIS is and how extreme radical Islamic terror is our number one threat. More people die from lightning strikes than Islamic terror. People are starting to die from climate change already. Wars over water will be a thing in the next 5 to 10 years. And do you think we have a refugee problem now? Just wait till fucking then. So he was confirmed, Scott Pruitt, 4 days before he was supposed to reveal his contact with any fossil fuel industries, showing a conflict of interest, as you do when you're being confirmed under a cabinet appointee or position. And what do we find in these emails? After he gets confirmed, they come out 4 days later. Well, what we expect. They reveal Charles G. Koch and David H. Koch, the infamous Koch brothers, who spend billions of dollars every year on influencing legislation and donating to Republicans and some Democrats. Some Democrats are just as guilty. To deny climate change, to deny the health of the American people so they can make a profit. So Pruitt, he's already gotten rid of air and water pollution regulations. So, even if global warming wasn't a thing, even if it didn't exist, we want clean water. We want clean air. If we have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, well, damn it, part of life, I believe, is healthcare, not only, but the right to breathe fucking clean air and not have corporations pollute and give us cancer or throw their shit into the rivers, and now people are getting poisoned by lead. Look at Flint. That's what happens when you try to privatize an essential resource that the government provides, like water infrastructure. The reason why these pipes weren't replaced and the water from the Flint River was being used is because they did not want to affect a richer part of the state. They wanted to save some money. And what do? They screw over the poorest people in that state. And Scott Pruitt, what will he do? He will whistle and have a great fucking time while all this is going on. While he's shoving a dildo up the ass of every American. Alright, so also Devon Energy, Oklahoma oil and gas producer. He was the Attorney General for Oklahoma before becoming the head of the EPA. So Oklahoma Gas and Electric, they held fundraising events for Pruitt. So yeah, no conflict of interest there, no corruption there. But yeah, he was mostly in contact with Devon Energy, who frequently fought with the Bureau of Land Management and EPA to allow drilling and fracking on federal land. And if you're not educated on what fracking is, I suggest you go look it up, because it's all these politicians are saying it's safe and, you know, the environment is not being harmed by it. That is absolutely not true. It's even causing fucking earthquakes in Oklahoma, the same state this guy is from. Okay? They went from having an average of 3 earthquakes a year to over 500 when they began fracking. This guy is not for small government. He's for an oligarchy where the rich rule and the middle class and the poor, we have no say over legislation. A Harvard study, or Princeton study, even confirmed this. I believe it was a 2012 study. You should look that up as well. And he's also dismantling Obama's Clean Power Plan. And this was a huge accomplishment of Obama. One of the few things I give him complete credit for. So what does this do? It sought to reduce CO2 emissions by 32% within the next 25 years. Who needs that? Out the window. And what was this for? It was in hopes to slow pollution from coal-burning power plants. But we know Trump and the rest of his administration is pro-coal, because we wouldn't want to put the coal miners out of business and not give them jobs. But you know what? You know how many jobs we could create from renewable energy? You know how many jobs we could create from, I don't know, testing our water levels, fixing our crumbling infrastructure, which gets a rating of D from I believe it's the American Society of Engineers. I could be wrong, but I know the grade is a D, perhaps a D minus. Why don't we spend some of our government resources helping the people instead of getting rid of regulations that protected us?